Imagine coming home to City's most exclusive address. Every single day, one bedroom, sky high luxury apartment with views that take your breath away. Sounds amazing, but here's the truth. One great commercial property deal can completely fund this whole lifestyle. You don't need 10 plus properties to fund it all. And today I'm going to show you how a medical centre in Broome, Western Australia generates over $100,000 a year in passive income, completely funding this dream apartment in Sydney effortlessly. Here's the thing, you don't need 10 plus properties to fund this sort of lifestyle. One great deal can fund it all. I'm James Hawthorne and I research commercial property deals to see what sort of lifestyle they can actually fund. Today I'm going to break down the numbers and the strategy behind this one deal and how it can completely outperform 10 plus properties. So let's get into it. Now let's get into analysing the property that's going to fund our financial freedom. So I found this medical centre in Broome, Western Australia that sold for $3.7 million. It's a lot of money, but in a location that's not the best city. It's right, pretty remote area, Broome, Western Australia, right in the top left corner of Australia. But as you can see, it's a decent sized medical centre. It's right next to an IGA on a main road, not far from the schools. So there's it's in a pretty decent area, not far from the water as well. There's universities, there's hospitals in the area, so there's a lot of residential housing in the area as well. And there's no other doctors in the area, so it's got a moat. So it's got a competitive moat, which is a really good thing, and it's in a prime location. So as you can see, it's got decent car spots as well. It's a normal looking medical center. Got office spaces, got a big car park as well. As you can see, it's on a pretty big block. You've got lots of car spots, which is what you need, especially for medical centers. You need people to have somewhere to park, and it's right next to the shopping center as well. So if ever you lose a tenant, you've got a shopping center next door, and someone's probably going to lease it because you could turn it into a small shopping center. So as we can see, it's right next to the water as well, in a pretty good location. Sold for $3.7 million. Pretty big land area, 3,500 square meters. And it's being leased. It's got a 10-year lease at the moment with 3 5-year options. Tenants paying all the outgoing, so you're getting the net rent. And the tenant's already been there for 14 years. So it's a pretty good long-term stable tenant. So medical centers stay there for a really long time, and it's gotten further 20 years options on the lease. So it's getting annual CPI rent reviews every year based on inflation. The tenant's responsible for all the outgoing, so you're collecting just the net rent. And as you can see, there's a few stats about Broome and potentially why you should invest in Broome. It's in a really remote place, hard to get to, but there's a lot of government spending going into there. As you can see, it had the hospitals, it had lots of schools, lots of residential housing. But the most important number is that net income of $274,000 a year. Now we're going to go into the calculator to see what sort of passive income can this property generate. Now looking at a cash flow calculator, this purchase price of $3.7 million, we've got that net income of $274,000 a year. So our yield on purchase is 7.41%. It's pretty high, but it's in a regional location. It's got a strong tenant. Most medical centers, around that 5% yield, but a 7% yield is pretty good just based on the location. And the loan, using a 6.5% interest rate, we've got repayments of $168,000 a year. So the rent is $274,000. The interest repayments $168,000. So we're left with $106,000 positive cash flow each year. Now, if you look at our cash flow snapshot, we've got a pretty decent buffer in terms of holding on to the property because we've got a higher yield. So if that property goes up to 11% interest rates, not until then do we start to become negatively geared. And if interest rates go down to 3%, we're going to be positive cash flow, $196,000 a year just from this one property. That's more than the average Australian household income. This one property is going to be generating cash flow each year. It's pretty amazing. So just based on the cash flow snapshot, we've got a decent buffer. It's not interest rates have to go pretty high to become negatively geared, and if interest rates go down, you're generating even more cash flow. And if you look at our property paydown calculator, same purchase price of 3.7 million, same net yield of 7.41%, assuming a 4% rental increase each year, and that's 6.5% interest rates over the whole life of the loan. In year 1, you're going to be positive geared at 106,000. By year 5, you're going to be positive geared 187,000 because we're using the cash flow to pay down the debt. So the cash flow is going to be increasing each year because you're paying down the loan. And after year 10, you're going to be positive geared $335,000 just from this one property. And by year 11, the property is completely paid off, debt-free, and you're collecting just passive income. So you're generating, over $400,000 a year in passive income just from this one medical centre in Broome, Western Australia. So it's a risky investment because you're investing in a regional small location, but there is a lot of government funding which kind of can lead to more population, more growth in the property. If it was really bad property, it wouldn't be worth $3.7 million. But if you hold on to it over the long term, the rent's going to be increasing over that 15 years. You're going to be positively geared, property's completely paid off, and you're generating $475,000 a year in passive income by the end of it. So it's a pretty good deal. Let's go see what sort of lifestyle can we actually fund based off the cash flow from this property. If we're boiling on a budget, I thought, why not go to the other side of Australia and see what sort of lifestyle you can live in Sydney. Well, we've got that budget of $106,000 a year in passive income, and I found this really nice luxury apartment in the middle of the city in this new development, and the mortgage repayments are $2,000 a week, which ends up being $104,000 a year. So it fits within our budget. Now let's go see what sort of property this looks like. So the property I found was called One Sydney Harbour. So it's in the middle of Sydney, right next to the casino. Really prime location. Can't get any better in Sydney. It's got this massive, nice entrance with these really high ceilings. You've got luxury infinity pools, swimming pools, views of the whole city, indoor pools, spas, saunas, meeting conference rooms, pool tables right next to the Opera House, prime location in Sydney. And if we go look at one of the apartments, so it's 1.7 million for a 1-bedroom apartment, which is pretty expensive. You're getting nice finishings, pretty normal stock standard apartment, but you get a nice kitchen, dining area, bedroom, balcony as well. And it's right in the center of Sydney, not far from the rocks. And you're in one of the nicest apartments in all of Sydney. Got the $8,000 a month in mortgage repayments, which ends up being $104,000 a year, which fits within our budget. So this one retail medical centre in Broome is completely funding mortgage repayments for this nice apartment in Sydney. Right in the middle of Sydney, you've got views of the whole harbour, in one of the best locations, nicest apartment with all the amenities. You could never even have to leave the apartment block. You've got everything you need, and it's all funded just by this one medical centre. That's the power of commercial property, and how it can be more powerful than 10 plus residential properties combined. That's the Sydney lifestyle completely funded just by one commercial property deal in Broome. Now, if you like these sorts of videos, go watch my last video where I show you exactly how a commercial property deal can fund a luxury apartment in Melbourne. So go watch that next, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out.